that they would read to me, that they would talk to me about all of my interests. But they weren't very pushy. I think they just felt that
her composure, intelligence, and unwavering purpose make her difficult to miss. U.S. Second Lady Usha Vance has always preferred to remain out of the limelight, but that has all changed as of late. In the blink of an eye, there was a little change in the public routine, and the web went dark with inquiries. Or was there more to it than that? After a post about a separation went viral, speculation of a divorce began to circulate online. It was all over the place, but nobody had verified or cited it. Despite the swift debunking of the story, it did pave the way for more investigation into the Vance family. Images spread like wildfire and stories began to take shape, but the details that people nearly missed were where the action really happened. From intimate times to serene distances, one thing became evident. The country follows every movement, no matter how small, by Usha Vance. Usha Vance, whose maiden name is Chilukuri, is an eminent American lawyer and the current First Lady. She was born and brought up in the working-class neighborhoods of San Diego, California, to parents who emigrated from Andhra Pradesh, India. Her dad is a mechanical engineer, and her mom is a molecular biologist. Incredibly versatile and accomplished, Usha has a history degree from Yale and an MPhil in early modern history from Cambridge University, where she was a Gates Scholar. Eventually, she followed her academic route to Yale Law School, where she met her future husband, J.D., and thrived. Hello, Vance. Usha was a brilliant student and generous friend at Yale Law School. Her former classmates remember her as the class leader who was also more than happy to help out her fellow students by going over their notes and answering their questions as they applied for the highly competitive judicial clerkship program. She went on to clerk for Chief Justice John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh, two conservative judicial heroes in the United States. Despite her extensive legal experience, she has spent the last many years practicing trial litigation in San Francisco with the progressive firm Munger, Tolles & Olson. Her complex personality is mirrored in her varied and complex professional and personal history, which combines progressive experiences with more conventional legal training. They became husband and wife in 2014 and have since welcomed a girl, Mirabelle, and two sons, Ewan and Vivek. Usha may have avoided the limelight for the most part, but her friends say she is instrumental in her husband's ascent to political prominence. Usha has been a crucial mentor and spirit guide for JD, according to the couple's close confidants. She is also a caring wife. Vance, ever since they were students at Yale. It is well known that Vance and his peers portray their connection as a cooperative and equal opportunity incubator of ideas, plans, and interests. Usha Vance deviates from the stereotypical role of political spouses by staying in the background in her role as Second Lady. Many people look forward to her as a representation of the American dream because of her humble origins as an immigrant, her intelligence, and her commitment to helping others. She had previously registered as a Democrat despite the fact that her spouse had conservative beliefs. Whether it's via advocating for policies or maintaining a strong family front, Usha Vance has subtly but firmly become a prominent presence in American public life. Usha may still have the most significant role to play behind closed doors, despite her subtle impact on the public stage. A picture of contemporary politics based on traditional values is painted by the Vance family. Daniel D. Their youngest kid, a daughter named Mirabelle, was born in 2021. Their other two children, Ewan and Vivek, were born in 2017 and 2020 respectively. Although the Vances have made it a point to keep their children out of the limelight for the most part, there have been a few occasions during significant political events when fans were given a look into their family life. The vice president's own difficult childhood, detailed in his biography Hillbilly Elegy, is something he failed to provide for his own children, and he has since stressed the significance of doing the same for his own children. The Vance children have kept a low profile, making very rare appearances at public events, despite the prominent careers of their parents. Ewan, Vivek, and their father were pictured voting in Cincinnati on Election Day 2024, while Usha was seen holding baby Mirabelle. Their participation at important turning points like J.D. Vance quietly conveyed J.D., quote, S family first ethic during his inauguration as vice president in January 2025, often gives credit for stabilizing his career and personal life. Statements made by J.D. The impact of his children on Vance is evident. His most important American dream is to be a decent spouse and parent, he said, while speaking to a crowd at the 2024 Republican National Convention. Much of what he says and writes is driven by a desire to provide his children with the security and love that he himself lacked. He frequently says that his bond with Usha and the family they've created together has given him the power to end generations of pain. Daniel D. Vance is notoriously tight-lipped about his private life, which might lead some to interpret his statements as being in direct opposition to his public persona. The campaign trails approach the festivities on election night, and the children make rare, highly staged appearances that are loaded with significance. Even though they don't get to say a word, the kids' presence serves as a powerful metaphor of a father who, despite his political aspirations, finds his greatest achievement as a parent. A family firmly grounded in resiliency, cultural tradition, and common purpose is beautifully and starkly shown by them. At President Donald Trump's inauguration in January 2025, the Vance children were the talk of the town thanks to their adorable antics and genuine candor, which went viral. Ewan and Vivek, twins age 7, arrived at the Capitol Rotunda in matching blue suits to attend the solemn ceremony with their parents. Mirabelle Rose, aged 5, was cradled in her mother Usha's arms. The internet was captivated by the charming and spontaneous events that occurred throughout the occasion. Among the most talked about scenes was Mirabelle sucking her thumb while her father took the oath. Social media users widely shared the image, describing it as adorably relatable. Mirabelle's older brother, who seemed visibly restless, reached out to scratch their parents' heads during the solemn moment. This humorous mayhem served as a timely reminder that the public face of politics is just a mask for the universal and sometimes chaotic reality of public parenting. Usha Vance's maternal responses were the buzz of the occasion. Every video that went viral struck a chord with viewers, even the one where she gave her kid the iconic mom look and sternly told him to behave. Extremely relatable. And it was the way she stopped his hand and said, "Okay," were among the numerous comments left on X, previously Twitter, by viewers. Many people thought Usha was the most approachable second lady the United States had seen in a long time, since she openly tried to calm her children down during the ordeal. These raw moments revealed real responses from parents and brought a personal touch to the typically stuffy setting of presidential inaugurations. The Vances were praised by the internet community, who described them as incredibly real and relatable. Vice President J.D. Vance, his wife Usha, and kids are probably the most relatable second family America has had during my lifetime. Despite the ideological divide and the abundance of staged appearances in politics, the genuine behavior of the Vance children and Usha's gentle parenting brought a welcome dose of honesty to the situation. A TikTok video allegedly showed Usha Vance submitting for a divorce in early 2025, which led to widespread speculation that she and Vice President J.D. Vance were considering a split. Worries of domestic strife were sparked after the message went popular on the website and started making the rounds on other social media sites. Public figures like Democrat Pam Keith, who wrote on X, previously Twitter, that she had seen the allegation was getting a lot of attention online, helped spread the video's storyline, which implied marital strife. Having said that, she was forthright about her inability to confirm the information's veracity. A TikTok user who later confessed that the video was totally fake was the one who started the story. As a clever twist, the user revealed the video's falsity at the conclusion, stating, "See how easy it is to lie," to emphasize how quickly false information can spread on social media. The fact remains that many viewers did not stick around to see the conclusion, and the misleading story was circulated without adequate investigation, despite this acknowledgement. The prevalence of viral material above factual reporting is a significant concern in today's digital era. Numerous press reports on the purported divorce illustrate a typical example of implausibility. At the 2024 Republican National Convention and other political gatherings, Usha Vance was spotted enthusiastically applauding for her husband. There has been no confirmation of rumors of marital problems, and respectable news outlets have not heard of any problems either. A great deal of false information may be spread through political accusations, particularly in the days leading up to big political events, in an effort to tarnish the reputation of politicians. As we have seen with the separation charges, JD has been the target of politically driven disinformation, was getting ready to face off against Democratic Governor Tim Walz in a vice presidential debate. Based on zero proof, the entire story served as a political diversion. As Usha and JD. Contrary to what the story said, the Vance have always shown outward signs of togetherness and have never truly considered splitting apart. What everyone is saying about Usha and JD in March of 2025, the vice president's apparently casual comment caused unanticipated outrage, which took a new twist in Vance's marriage. During his speech at an event in Michigan, Vance complimented his wife on her role as Second Lady, but made the sarcastically humorous comment, "The cameras are all on. Anything I say, no matter how crazy, she has to smile, laugh, and celebrate it." Despite his best intentions, the comment went viral online, with many accusing him of using his wife for political gain. People took exception at Usha's apparent forced or artificial grin, and the outcry swiftly increased, with hashtags demanding her independence spreading online. Given Usha's limited visibility in public discourse, the phrase added gasoline to the fire of opponents who had long questioned the mechanics of the Vance relationship. Some thought her quiet personality hinted that her own views would differ from her outspoken conservative spouse. Speculation abounds on the internet about this contradiction, whether actual or perceived. There was no indication of real marital troubles, but when the message went viral, reactions varied from scathing criticism to those expressing genuine worry for Usha's safety. In the face of mounting public outcry, the Vances chose to remain silent rather than make a statement. The pair has a history of successfully using strategic quiet to keep their personal lives secret, even if public opinion was expected to conduct its business online. Amidst all the hubbub, Usha Vance dutifully carried out her ceremonial obligations, making a significant appearance to support her husband in his official role. Legal papers, news announcements, and legitimate investigative journalism have therefore failed to reveal any signs that their marriage was in crisis. This incident exemplifies the growing trend of politicizing personal relationships, especially those involving prominent persons in society. The seemingly unimportant facts, snippets of casual conversation used as proof of greater issues, have allowed speculation to develop, leading to legends about the Vances. The scrutiny of public officials' actions is commendable, but there is no journalistic basis to link an awkward joke with marital problems. The rumors don't go anywhere without solid proof. They're more like wild guesses than proven facts. A new chapter in the public's examination of the Vance marriage was about to occur, this time away from the campaign path as the dust settled from the viral joke response. While on their high-profile diplomatic mission to Greenland in March 2025, the tensions between Vice President JD Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance were widely reported. The cultural engagement for Usha and her son swiftly turned into a media circus, as the couple's uncomfortable and emotionally distant exchanges brought them into the public eye. Rumors of marital strife began to circulate when onlookers saw Usha step off of the plane before her husband and keep a noticeable distance from him the whole way to their destination. According to reports, the Greenland schedule was drastically changed at the last minute when Vice President Vance opted to accompany what was originally planned to be Usha's solo engagement. As a result of this alteration, the trip's initial cultural objective was supposedly overshadowed by J.D.'s political goal. People who watched paid attention to subtle details that revealed a lot, as when Usha didn't wait for JD as oblique expressions of discontent to unlock the vehicle door. These actions, which did not appear to be major, contributed to the general belief that the marriage of the Vances was in danger. Because of the circumstances, the air around the voyage was even more speculative. As a result, JD. The political ramifications of a leaked signal group discussion weighed heavy on Vance, and allegations of discord within his party didn't help matters. Republican President and former supporter Donald Trump started to put some space between himself and his vice president on a regional level. Usha Vance, who had previously helped maintain the political environment, was reportedly being progressively banished from Trump's inner circle, leading to her estrangement from both. The unnamed insiders seemed to be fuming behind the scenes over Usha's increasing dissatisfaction, suggesting that her decision to leave a prominent legal practice to back her husband's ambitions may have backfired. The journey to Greenland represents a significant turning point in the public discussion around the Vance marriage, even if no strong statements have been made. Many wondered how the couple's relationship was holding up, and if JD was feeling the effects of political pressures, as the media and internet critics kept a careful eye on them. Life at home for Vance. In private, would the couple make amends? Or would their marriage be a point of contention during the journey? Once again, President John F. Kennedy's sole grandson, Jack Schlossberg, grabbed headlines for an odd online prank that made many people look twice. Schlossberg announced his pregnancy with Vice President J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, in a mysterious message on X, previously Twitter. "A son is going to be born to me. I'm really looking forward to this," he wrote. "Without a spouse, absolutely, but we might get married." The post was as ridiculous as it appeared, and that wasn't even the worst part. He then posted an Instagram photo of Usha Vance holding a baby with his face overlaid with the caption, "Little Jason and his mom." The ploy caused an immediate uproar online, with many wondering what was going on and others finding it funny. USA Today reached out to both women for comment. It wasn't the first time Schlossberg used Usha Vance in his internet parody. He became famous in early 2025 when he polled his audience on the subject of whether Usha Vance was hotter than Jackie Kennedy. In response to the heavy criticism the post received, Schlossberg played down his sexual orientation and called himself a literal pervert, while reiterating his desire to provoke responses. While his writings may appear inane at first glance, they are actually part of a calculated plan that combines political messaging with humor and outrage. Schlossberg has come clean about the fact that he deliberately adopts a chaotic and frequently conspiratorial tone while posting online. He once told Jen Psaki that the internet is great for weird and quirky things. "A reply is nearly half the fight," he remarked, "when you flip folks out." He sees it as satire that comments on the state of digital media. The way he sees it, harassment forces people to talk about serious problems, including those that are important to younger Democrats. In addition to being a provocateur, he is a young political writer whose work has been featured in prominent magazines, including Vogue, The Washington Post, and New York Magazine. He has no problem with uncertainty or taking chances, and he even says he doesn't mind making things up every so then. That people think something so foolish makes me giggle. His goal, he assured Psaki, was not to trick them, but to show how the public might be led astray in today's fast-paced, content-driven media scene. Beyond the shock factor, Schlossberg's tweets provide insight into the changing realities of modern political discourse in the internet era. In contrast to the trend toward viral moments over traditional discourse, his ridiculousness stands firmly in opposition to the status quo. According to one school of cultural criticism, this level of provocativeness indicates a generational change toward using irony as a defense mechanism and a tool for criticism as it muddies the lines between comedy and political commentary. With his most recent act, he has ushered in a new age of political successors who can captivate audiences, challenge conventional narratives, and start conversations about the need of honesty in public life. To rephrase, his pieces are a modern take on political theater that makes viewers wonder not just about the content, but also about the impact of the internet on political speech. As U.S. Second Lady Usha Vance was getting ready for her cultural tour to Greenland in late March 2025, tensions rose among the perpetual dispute surrounding American involvement in the Arctic country. Leaders in Greenland expressed their displeasure with the White House's portrayal of Usha and her son's planned tour to historical landmarks, and the national dog sled race Avanata Kimusersu as a humanitarian mission to honor Greenlandic history. The planned trips by Usha and Trump's national security advisor Mike Waltz were roundly denounced by outgoing Prime Minister Mute Ejede and other authorities. They pointed to the absence of official invitations as evidence of political hostility on the part of the United States. This outcry followed President Trump's increasingly bellicose remarks, in which he revived discussions about the possible strategic and economic acquisition of Greenland. Trump's suggestion that Greenland may join the United States, potentially with NATO's approval, has heightened local concerns about American meddling. Visitors mistook the planned trips for covert political maneuvering rather than for goodwill cultural outreach. A demonstration of power, Egede criticized Waltz's attendance, while Jens Frederik Nielsen, Greenland's likely next prime minister, accused U.S. officials of disregarding the island's autonomy. U.S. authorities reconstructed the tale and said the trips were an outcome of attempts to foster cultural understanding and economic cooperation, while also strengthening links with Greenlandic residents and organizations. Meeting with American military soldiers stationed at the island's historic American outpost was also deemed vital, according to them. Leaders in Greenland, who were already worried about Trump's annexation rhetoric, were unsatisfied with these justifications. As a result of its impact on international politics, the topic quickly rose to the level of a major campaign issue in Greenland's most recent elections. Even while many would see Trump's remarks as an effort to intervene in Greenland's political destiny, he assured Congress that he backed the island's self-determination. While a large majority of Greenlandics want independence from Denmark, an even larger majority are opposed to U.S. annexation, suggesting that the idea of joining the United States is not well received. Despite Usha Vance's best intentions, her visit became entangled in the growing global tensions. True cultural exchange, according to many Greenlanders, is more about building relationships with local populations than it is about having haughty, high-ranking officials drop by. In a nutshell, according to renowned cultural anthropologist Soren Larsen, a visit orchestrated without listening to the local voice only deepens the sense of alienation. This is in line with the claims made by several indigenous artists that the traditional knowledge of Greenland is preserved via meaningful interactions between people. Any cultural endeavor, no matter how well-intentioned, might fall flat if its practitioners fail to fully immerse themselves in the island's unique traditions. These observations provide important context for understanding Usha Vance's visit. When locals feel their authenticity invaded, even traditional celebrations come seen as intrusive. A brave stand in the mounting legal struggle against the Trump administration has been taken by the law firm where Usha Vance, wife of Vice President J.D. Vance, formerly worked. In a court filing representing more than 500 law firms, the prominent California firm Munger, Tolles & Olson warned of a grave threat to constitutional government presented by Trump's efforts to penalize professional groups that disagree with him. Trump has been going after the law firm Perkins Coie because of its history of representing Democratic personalities such as Hillary Clinton. This brief was submitted to defend the company. Removing security clearances, terminating contracts, and blocking access to federal courthouses are among the punitive steps that Trump has directed against specific corporations, as stated in the lawsuit. Many in the legal profession are worried that these actions might lead to a weakening of the rule of law. A federal court has already halted Trump's orders against Perkins Coie, stating that legal advocates should not be subjected to political reprisal. Munger-Tollis's brief highlighted the issues of political character and the need for lawyers to serve all clients without fear of retribution. Former Munger-Tollis Washington, D.C. employee Usha Vance has left the firm. She resigned from her position in July 2024, stating that she needed to prioritize her family when her husband was selected Trump's running mate. Her professional experience is currently in the limelight due to her former firm's statement against the Trump administration's legal crackdown. This highlights the political disparity between her previous business and her present role as Second Lady. The increasing resistance among the legal community to what many perceive as authoritarian pressure is shown by this case. Some of the biggest names in law have stayed on the sidelines, while organizations of a more modest stature have entered the fight. Paul Weiss and Skadden Arps were among those who reached a settlement where the government removed fines in return for free legal representation. Others, such as Doug Emhoff, husband of Kamala Harris, who was once employed by Wilkie Farr and Gallagher, have faced criticism for their perceived lack of opposition. Attorneys throughout the nation should stand up for democracy and the rule of law, according to Emhoff, who recently had the chance to provide a scathing assessment at Georgetown Law School. In 2025, the legal landscape will be defined by questions of power and integrity in the law, as both academics and practitioners of the law have spoken out more and more. In addition to the legal intrigue, cultural observers and intellectuals have drawn parallels between this move and other cases of political repression, implying that the power-law dynamic has reached a tipping point. The entire foundation of legal advocacy is at stake when political leaders attempt to weaponize bureaucracy to silence dissent, said Lisa Gonzalez, a law professor at Stanford. Media experts have voiced a similar sentiment, drawing parallels to darker times in American history and expressing concern that uncontrolled, these punitive actions will further erode civil freedoms. More than merely an administration's policy, this judicial clash captures the essence of two essential democratic principles: accountability and justice. But as her old business goes against the Trump administration in court, Usha Vance plays a completely different game and stays mysterious. Neither happy to be a mere ceremonial figure nor aggressively political, Usha Vance differs from many of her predecessors. She comes across as someone who is reserved most of the time, but purposefully makes an appearance when it matters. Despite her modest media presence, the Second Lady's position has been shrouded in mystery, drawing similarities to other past political spouses and prominent cultural personalities. Not for her ostentatious remarks, but for her unflinching self-assurance and reluctance to pose for the camera, she has captured the attention of fashion magazines and political analysts since her arrival at the Republican National Convention in a simple blue gown. The fact that Usha refuses to be commercialized is what makes her public persona so interesting. She has not been branded in a political society that is preoccupied with branding. There has been both praise and criticism for her choice to forego stylists, turn down designer collaborations, and dress casually in store-bought clothes. Both her friends and critics have characterized her as grounded. She has become a cultural Rorschach test in terms of how the public perceives her, with several interpretations but no clear definition. Despite her lack of involvement in creating a MAGA fashion persona, she has become a symbol of soft power in that realm. The mystery about her is already thick, and her decision not to perform just makes it worse. Although her spouse is frequently the subject of political smear campaigns, Usha uses a different frequency, one of intentional opacity, in her own life. She is defined by a few interviews, a lack of political rhetoric, and an almost non-existent online presence. But her cultural power has grown in her relative obscurity. Her supporters think she's beautiful and above the fray, while her detractors find her evasive and accusatory. Whether deliberate or not, her quiet speaks volumes in this day of seeming clamor. Perhaps Usha has had the most impact by making people reconsider their definition of visibility. Even though she is not confrontational, everyone can see her. She is also visibly brave. She personifies an alternative sort of contemporary American power, one that is characterized by intelligence, dexterity, and a lack of an addiction to showmanship. This is how Usha Vance transcends the role of Second Lady. She reflects the nation's struggle to distinguish between authority and effectiveness. According to cultural critics, her authenticity stands against the spectacle of modern politics, urging real connection over showmanship. This new perspective is in line with bigger changes, which are reshaping the definition of power and, more importantly, what it means to be really relatable in public life. Much obliged for your time. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth explorations like this if you like this article. Are you thinking about anything specific? Put them down below and we'll listen. Stay put and see the video that plays next for additional behind-the-scenes looks at today's top stories, where we meet next.